Uruyaykhal, everyone. It's a traditional greeting of Sakha people from Arctic Siberia. My name is Snow Raven Zarina, and I was born and raised in Republic of Sakha-Yakutia, which is in northern eastern part of Russia. So the village I was born has 600 people, and the entire Republic of Sakha, it's one of the most big area in Russia. And our land is very unique. It's a remote and probably one of the most cold and inhabited place on earth, where the winters can reach the lows of minus 94 by Fahrenheit. Yeah, it's really severe and very challenging. And the people who live there, they're very survival. And so if I lead you into a little bit into heritage of Sakha culture, is we are horse people, and we are more than 500,000 people right now. And there are minority northern people who are our neighbors, and also they live in our area. So they're nomadic and they're reindeer herders. So entire area multinational, and we have this beautiful nomadic people who follow the reindeers, like Chukchi, Yukagir, Evenk people, Tungus people, and actually the word shamanism came from Tungus culture. The word saman means a person who knows. So, and it's very important to know the heritage of this word, because our culture is also shamanic. And we have shamans as a healers of people and nature. So a very interesting thing about where we come from is, according to our heroic epics or folk or some stories, legends and myth, we have some animals who, never existed in our area, like lions, cave lions, and saber-tooth tigers, and also snakes, and there is hypothesis that we came from south, but I believe that our area where the winter is cold, the North Pole, we used to know that it is cold, but according to that hypothesis, that the whole area was hot, totally opposite. And that might happen because when planet Earth changes just a little bit one position, and then it can change completely. And so there was something happened with the woolly mammoths who were living 10,000 and 15,000 years ago in our area. And they died in one moment. Something happened. So we have this huge cemetery of mammoth, their tusks sticking out from the permafrost. And so we have underneath of the ground very, very wide permafrost. And that's why our houses, the modern houses, many floors, they are on the poles, the cement poles. It's very interesting to see. And whole, water or heating system goes not underneath, not under the ground. It's actually in the air. So, and permafrost is very interesting. In terms of, my people, they still use permafrost as a refrigerator. So we have a deep hole underneath, and it's under the ground, and we store our drinking water as ice cubes, and we store our meat and fish and berries, all the food for entire year, basically. Because during the summertime, when the summer is really, really hot and dry, the permafrost remains, and we, you know, in the hot summertime, we dress ourselves fully with a winter coat and go down, under the ground. It feels like a coming inside of the refrigerator. So in a modern life, we just open the door of a refrigerator and take our food, right? And in my culture, traditionally, and still in my family, we use that under, storage under the ground, and we call that bulus. So my mother and my 3 young sisters, they live in Yakutia and at my grandfather's house in that village. So I really, really miss them, and I haven't been visiting them for 3 years. Unfortunately, I every time when I see my dream, everything, all the actions, they happen in my village. And all my friends from America, they are in my village or in in my house. So, and sometimes I fly as a raven, as a bird, and see my village and my grandfather's house from sky. So it's very interesting feeling to have this deep connection. When you are far physically, you become more close to things what you don't have right now around you. So that's really true. It works, I can feel it in my heart. The name Snow Raven was given 4 years ago by one powerful shamaness. Shamaness is the female shaman, or we call Udaran in my culture. My culture is a shamanism, and the shamans are healers of people and nature. So the word shaman or saman in Tungus language came from Tungus culture, and it means the person who knows. And so the raven in shamanic culture is very mystic bird, very powerful totem animal. And I was denying that name for 4 years, and the more you deny, more it comes to you and attached to you, and you have to work with that energy anyway and anyhow. So, and the raven in my culture related to the death and to the energy of the lower world. So it is nothing to be afraid from the lower world, because this is part of our life. This is how we assign black and white, hot or cold, close or far, or bad or good. They are one, and they have just different reflection. But it's like a dark side of the moon, but it's still moon, right? And in my culture, the lower world doesn't associate with the evil energy. We believe that there are some spirits, bad spirits, we call them abahe. They sometimes attack us and we get sick. But it doesn't mean that we have to afraid from them or run away. Instead of that, we face them and learn how to deal with them. That's how my people survived, being in 6 months of coldness and darkness during the winter time. So otherwise there wouldn't be any Saga people remain in the Nova days. So, and Raven, the reason Raven is related to the death is a raven can be in both worlds, like visible and invisible. An invisible world is related to the realm of died people. The lower world, the invisible world is related. Invisible world is a dwelling of spirits. The energy we cannot see by our eyes, and we also believe that people's souls are there too. and the raven can be in both of realms. And it's so intelligent bird that can predict somebody's death. And I was afraid, it's just related to like everybody, I think in most of people in this planet Earth, we're afraid from the death. And being constantly in a realm of fear doesn't give us opportunity to live fully or understand the meaning of this life. And in my opinion, and according to my traditions, the meaning of life, it's the path you do, during this life, not the result as a death, right? Because everybody gonna die. And who knows, maybe after the death, we're gonna enter to another realm where we continue live, like children being inside of the womb of the mother, 9 months, they are in the darkness, right? And inside of the liquid, and then after 9 months, a child comes out, and just right before a child comes out, there is one hypothesis that the child thinks that he or she's dying, and it's very painful for both mother and child. And imagine like going through that, like a tunnel, right? Like light going through. And that often a lot of people describe when they come from the death back to this reality. At some point they were sent back. So they describe how they see the tunnel with the light. And it's very interesting that, we come to this middle world already knowing what the pain is. And I see it as a whole cycle of life, and we don't have to be afraid from the death. On the contrary, if we honor it and learn how to die in a peaceful state without agony or panic, that will help us probably to transfer in a realm where we belong to. Otherwise, you can be taken away by your fear into another realm, and when that path, which you don't supposed to go, and so for me, it's very important to train every day myself. Every time when I go to sleep, it's also a very interesting state. It has some flavor of death, because you in this reality you are unconscious and you're somewhere else there in your dream. And so I was denying my name, and when I fully accepted this year, before I went to Hawaii about 1.5 months ago, I felt my wet wings got dry, and I spread it wildly, and I could, fly and soar, soaring and catching the warm flow of the air. So since that time, I provide the ceremonial performances and journey into 3 worlds. According to my culture, we see the whole world as 3 levels: lower, middle, and the higher. So I already talked about the lower world, and middle world, it's the physical world, and people, animals, and birds. So every single plant and tree is they live in this middle world, and we believe that they're alive. And the higher world is the dwelling of 12 deities, and we have 12 sky layers, and each deity is responsible for human problems and challenges. Therefore, we do a lot of ceremonies, and we ask from them to support us. And it traditionally, it was taken by those ceremonies were held by elders and shamans in my culture, working basically with the cosmos energies. And for example, shamans of the 12th sky, they can work with the environment and ask the rain to come when there is a wildfires or the dry season, dry summer, and there's no agriculture, no food. They would ask rain to come through the ceremony, and it would happen. So the shamans were really, really powerful in ancient time, and very important people in the community. So the three worlds, they usually, they are all together. In the middle world is very interesting. Middle world is situated between lower and the higher world, which means, in the probably Christianity, we would describe it as a heaven and hell, and this, black and white or bad or good energies, right? And the middle world is what is between them, what contains both of them. That's why we cannot, deny hell or heaven realm, or say hell is bad and hell is good, or heaven is good, because there is no light without darkness. You cannot compare. You cannot live without comparing and everything happening in our world, what we would like to push away or run away, it happens for the reason to see the other side of it. And it's very interesting that how, my people describe the middle world. It's the volatility of, black and white, and it's just comes and goes. It's impermanent and always moves, and we need to learn how to dance in that, in these three realms. That's the wisdom of my people. I do a lot of voice exercises, and through the voice I can fall into altered state. And I've learned how human body can be incredible instrument, and singing traditional songs, mimicking birds and animal sounds is really incredible practice to connect to an invisible world. And my grandmother taught me how to sing traditional songs, and my best teacher was, of course, Mother Nature. When I was 3 years old, I used to go to the forest and sing and try to understand the language of birds and animals. And they would answer back, and it was a really good connection to the wilderness when I was a little kid. And still, continue that as my lifestyle, and also in my performances, together with Andres Urumidis Piranyan from Russia too, but he's from southern part of Russia. I'm from north. Again, two different energies coming together and meeting each other in Olaks as a bridge between our ancestors' wisdom, where I sing traditional songs, and the modern life, where Andreas play modern beats. So we have Olaks project for 6 years, and besides that I do healing work. It's I would call that ceremonial journey, and it's really it's working with the frequencies, and wherever it takes me. If I want to work with the lower world energy, which related to our fears, I do lower frequency sounds. And it's like a Rainier breath, for example. I don't know, Zoom, sometimes there's tricky thing in the Zoom, and sometimes it just takes away some certain frequencies. But if I show you, maybe you can have a flavor of that. So the Rainier breath is sound. It sounds like this. So it's the northern minority people mimicking the breath of the reindeer. When they run a long distance, they breathe in this certain alternative way to preserve their energy. And also the throat singing and the birds and animal sounds, such an owl like and the raven, all of the sounds. And also when I go more into middle world sounds, the middle frequency, it's all about traditional songs. It's finding the harmony with the mother nature, with the spirits. We believe that everything is alive and everything has a spirit. Therefore, we have a lot of ceremonies also bowing to mother nature. And we have a lot of traditional songs describing the environment of Saka, area. And it takes me immediately into my homeland when I start to sing, and I feel expansion to this, all visible world, and it's precious. It shows me the preciousness and the beautiness, exquisiteness of this middle world. So, and after that, I bring people into the higher world, which where I'm mostly working with the higher frequencies. And it has more like crane bird sounds, for example. And I sing a lot with prayer songs like August. And it's very important when you guide people during their ceremonial journey to let them work in their three worlds. And it's very important as being guide where you're leading them, for how long, for how deep. It's very, very responsible and very, very deep journey. And as we see the whole world as a three levels, we see the human body has these three levels too. And for my 3 hours of ceremonial journey performances, and I do everything live. I just show the power of the voice, and that give people also an opportunity to understand how human body is incredible, and you can use that as an instrument to extract those sounds. And moreover, I believe that everyone can do these sounds, and I teach people how to do mimicking of birds and animal sounds, and also awakening our inner healer and teacher and inner mother voice. We call that kalha. So I teach to people how to sing traditional, in traditional singing technique of Saka people, and that opens up, that connects you immediately to your diaphragm and to your mother voice. So, and your unique voice suddenly comes out. So I have some students finding that in themselves, and so I do that via Zoom and also in person. And during this pandemic, during this challenging time, it's beautiful to to slow down a little bit, and it's really useful to work with ourselves, with our inner world, not being so much focused on the external world, but understanding that we cannot live like this anymore, where we're at right now. It just makes us to rethink and to cultivate more energy, more knowledge about how we can hand the land, our home, planet Earth, to a future generation. So I started to think about that, and just recently I met beautiful medicine person, and very like guardian of indigenous people, their cultures. His name is Ed Fasula, and together we are going to open our non-profit organization where we can create a platform for both different cultures, indigenous and the Westerners. So before, like a year ago, I was thinking to open on the Saka center and all about my culture, but now I see how it's important to make a safe place, secure place for both different cultures, where indigenous people become as a healer, they're honored and they feel secure, and they bring their plant medicine, their knowledge, their wisdom, and Westerners, they take care of that. Westerners come as a student and being ready to receive those teachings and follow the wisdom weavers. So because those people, they were keeping and holding the knowledge for 1,000 years, maybe more, and it's time to create a reciprocity, and not only taking away and ripping apart and making as a consuming energy, and forgetting about the heritage and roots of knowledge of indigenous people. So therefore we created this beautiful vision, and hopefully we'll have more and more alliances in 12 different realms where we can collaborate in spirituality, mindfulness, education, movie, music, eco-activism, sustainability, alternative technology, even crypto, owned by indigenous people, plant medicine, and virtual production. So they are all interconnected, interdependent, and beautifully can work together. And I see how Western people, they feel guilty about what happened historically, and they don't know how to approach the indigenous people. Indigenous people, they shut the door, and they try to preserve what remains. And there's I felt during these 3 years of being in United States, I felt this huge gap between two different cultures, and the separation, and that's not going to be leading us into healthy path, into healthy society. We're going to rise up and face each other and forgive each other and work together. So understanding that, like in a lower and higher world, there's a middle world. So we really need to understand where we at. We're in the middle world, and we have both of energies. So I think if we understand that and deal with that, we can have really, really beautiful society, powerful, healthy society. And it's a right time, right place, I think, especially during this challenging time, to find out the path to spirituality. And like we've been living spiritless, all the science, we're denying spirit and soul. But science is actually part of the esoterics and spirituality, because all the technology we have today, they were used in ancient time. They all exist in the esoterics. So it's just amazing how we can discover so many beautiful things and learn so much from Mother Nature, and learn so much from the healers, from indigenous people. So let's all unite, let's all rise up and work together, collaborate together, and create something new, absolutely new, new system on the top of old system. I don't want to deny old system. It's already there. We live here using all of this infrastructure, and we don't have to evilize or devilize and or run away or destroy the system. This system is already here, and we just make it more, put more heart on it and spirit on it, and building more ethic way of living, and building ethical, businesses, and working in an ethical way, and so bringing values into what we're going to create, really helpful for indigenous people, for Mother Nature. So that's how I see.